guys, it is Craig, Whisperin'Storyteller here. I hope you are well. So today we've got a real treat, hopefully, and we are going to be playing another one of those fighting fantasy game books that I played many years ago. In fact, it was called House of Hell. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I get a lot of comments from people who still watch that video and often ask me if I will do another fighting fantasy game book. So the good news is I've decided to do that. So the book I've decided to do today is Appointment with F.E.A.R. Now, for anybody who has not heard of fighting fantasy game books or Appointment with F.E.A.R, just a kind of an overview of what they are. These are part book, part game, in which we make the decisions what happens. So we kind of control the outcome of this story and its resolution, if you like. There's a whole host of these books which are available, and they are pretty much a 1980s craze, and I absolutely loved them as a kid back then. And this particular one is the very edition that I had as a kid. It's been reprinted, of course, in today's market, along with a selection of some of the original titles. So these ones with the green spine are the real collector's items. The new ones are by Wizard Books, I think, and they offer different illustrations. I don't know if it's a copyright thing or any other reason, but these are cracking games, very relaxing to listen to and play yourself. So anybody who's interested in getting a copy of a game book, I will post the website to look at these. There's lots and lots of titles which are available. So just to give you a bit of background on Appointment with F.E.A.R, I will read the back. So part story, part game. This is a book in which you become the hero. Tough, courageous, incorruptible, champion of law and order. You are the Silcer Crusader, using your superpowers to protect the innocent citizens of Teeming, Titan City, from terrorism, from violence, from kidnapping, and the corruption of a host of supervillains. So it's a little bit like the 1960s Batman, a little bit campy, but great fun to stop these bad guys from winning. So our mission is to discover the location of the top secret F.E.A.R or F.E.A.R meeting and capture the titanium cyborg, and that is the dude on the cover there. That's him. I'm not tapping in the right place. That's him. So our job is to capture him and his cohorts and bring them all to justice. So with 2 dice, a pencil and an eraser, this is all we need, and we have a choice of one of 4 superpowers, from psi powers, super strength, enhanced technological skills, or energy blasts. And of course the power that we choose will affect the course of the mission itself. There are hero points to collect and lose, clues to follow, dangers to face, and horrific villains to fight. What could you not love with this? It is absolutely great, and it does kind of set a different scene from the regular fighting fantasy. I keep saying Final Fantasy. It sets a different scene because this is set in a contemporary world, whereas the classic fighting fantasy books all take place in a fantasy world of orcs and trolls and that kind of thing. So the next stage will be you and I choosing our superpower and to establish what our skill, stamina and luck is, and then we will continue on to play the game itself. Now, for anybody who just wants to jump straight into the gameplay, I will place the chapters in the description so you can just jump straight to that scene and enjoy the game itself. So guys, we will continue on and get it going with this. So I do hope you can join me as we play Appointment we'll just read through some starting pointers before we begin the game. So how to battle the supervillains of Titan City. So in Appointment with Fear, you will become the Silcer Crusader, a superhero with unusual powers, dedicated to helping the citizens of Titan City from crime. You will come across robberies, kidnappings and destruction, crimes committed by a host of supervillains. You must also find out where the fateful meeting between the heads of F.E.A.R, or F.E.A.R, the Federation of the Euro-American Rebels, is due to take place, and capture Vladimir Yutovsky, otherwise known as the Titanium Cyborg, F.E.A.R's leader. You do not only have your superpowers to aid you. Through your crime watch, your friend and informant Jerry the Grass will alert you to crimes even before they are committed, and you can keep in touch with the police. As you fight and overcome villains of the underworld, you will discover clues. Some clues will enable you to locate arch criminals and arrest them. Others will give you information on the whereabouts of the secret F.E.A.R meeting. So you will begin the adventure with a choice of 4 superpowers. With super strength, you are powerful and have the ability to fly. With psi powers, enable you to read minds and influence objects by brain power alone. ETS, which is Advanced Technological Skill, provides you with a variety of devices and gadgets which you can carry around on your accessory belt. If you choose Energy Blast, you can summon up a bolt of energy and protect it from your fingertips, depending on which power you choose. The solution of the book, finding the location of the F.E.A.R meeting, will be different. Once you've solved it with one power, you can try it again with another. As you may also monitor your success with your hero point score. When you overcome supervillains, you'll be awarded hero points to allow you to compare the success of one adventure with another. Because of these new features, the rules to Appointment with Fear differ a little from other fight and fantasy gamebooks. Combat is basically the same, but you will find several new sections in the following rules. Okay, so before setting off to fight the supervillains of Titan City, we need to determine our skill, stamina and luck scores by throwing dice as described below. Okay, so I have created a sheet, because on here we have this, which is the adventure sheet, which covers skill, stamina, luck, clues and such. I just wrote them out onto here. So what we will do now is we will determine what our skill, stamina and luck is going to be. So roll 1 dice, add 6. So our skill is 7, which is not great. So I put 7 in there. For the next one, okay. Right, so for the next one, which is stamina, roll 2 dice and add 12 to the number rolled. So I've got 17. And for luck, we roll 1 dice and add 6. So I've got 10. You will come across pages in the book where you instruct you to fight a villain of some sort, and you must resolve the combat as described below. The first record of a villain's skill and stamina scores is the first vacant encounter box. So we use these every time we encounter a villain. And unlike other fight and fantasy game books, you do not kill the criminals you are fighting. As sworn upholder of justice, you may not take the life of a supervillain, no matter how evil he or she may be, but they will be attempting to kill you. If you manage to reduce the stamina score of a criminal to 0, you have killed him and must lose 1 hero point as a result. When a criminal has reduced to 1 or 2 stamina points, he will surrender himself or herself to you. Okay, so superpowers and clues. You are Jean Lafayette, the product of a dangerous but successful genetic experiment. Although seemingly normal as a child, it became apparent in your early teens that you were far from ordinary human being. You are gifted with a superhuman power which you have sworn to use only for the benefit of your fellow man. As the Silcer Crusader, you are well known to the population of Titan City. Most people admire you, some distrust you, but all members of the underworld fear you. Only your parents, who are both dead, ever knew your real identity and the origin of your powers. In the adventures ahead, you will begin with some of 4 powers. During your daily activities and encounters with disasters and super criminals, you will have 2 objectives. So first, we must find the whereabouts of the secret meeting of the F.E.A.R, which is the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, which is due to take place in the next few days. That this dangerous alliance of master criminals and enemy agents is planning to overthrow the governments of the Western world and establish their own rule. So secondly, we may assess our own performance as a superhero by trying to gain as many hero points as possible. So before we start the adventure, we choose which superpowers we're going to have from the 4 listed below. And you can start the knowledge with 2 clues. Following the description of each superpower, you will find instructions where to find your clues, which are hidden in the text of the adventure. Before you turn to reference 1 to start your adventure, choose your superpowers, locate and read the clues, and enter the information in your adventure sheet. How interesting. Okay, so let's have a look at these superpowers. Let's decide which ones that we want to have. So super strength. You have the power of many men. The muscles in your immensely powerful legs and arms bulge through the fabric of your costume. They are developed to the point of perfection, and in combat situations you always fight with a skill of 13. You also have the power to fly through the air at any speed you wish, and this allows you to hover unsupported above the ground or to chase and catch up with the fastest jet. That sounds a very attractive superpower, don't you think? Let's come back to super strength. Let's see what the other ones read like. So remember, we get to choose. So we get to choose 1 superpower. Would we like to have psi powers, which are extraordinary mental abilities? We're able to reach into the thoughts of most other humans and some animals to read their minds and influence them. We also have limited powers to make objects move mentally and even change the very nature of some elements. However, using this power is of enormous mental effort for you. Each time you use your psi power, you must deduct 2 stamina points. And the third one is enhanced technological skill. So this is a considerable intelligence which allowed you to develop a whole collection of high-tech gadgetry. Through advanced microcircuitry designs, you have been able to miniaturize most of these gadgets so they will fit conveniently into a special accessory belt worn around your waist. Now, whatever the situation, you are usually fortunate enough to have something appropriate to use. However, you avoided developing weaponry in case any weapon you develop should ever fall into the wrong hands and be used by criminal element to wreak havoc. And the 4th one is Energy Blast. which is the ability to summon up electrostatic energy from within our own body and channel it out through our fingertips. So we can aim these energy bolts at adversaries or objects, and your control is such that you know you need to aim how much force will be needed to deal with them. You have taken a personal oath and will only stun any human target, no matter how villainous your opponent may be. So when you use an energy blast, you only need to determine whether or not your aim is true, and if you hit a human opponent, the effect will be automatic stun. Okay, what are we feeling about those powers? Because I think I'm a bit drawn towards super strength. It'd be great to be a superhuman, a super hero with the abilities to fly, and so why don't we go for super strength? Do you agree, guys? Brilliant. Let's go for that. So we can change our skill, which was really poor in the dice throw. We can now change that to a much more respectable 13. So we've got a skill of 13, a stamina of 14, and a luck of 10. That's not so bad. And our super power is going to be super strength. Okay. So we're going to get 3 clues. No, we're not actually. We're going to get the first of our clues, we turn to reference 127. So this is going to be some information about this meeting that we are trying to locate between the villains. 127. Let's have a look. Okay, this is the clue. Yeah. A scarlet prankster, a fun-loving criminal who delights in playing practical jokes on his unsuspecting victims, has found a new home, and one most benefiting his sense of humour. When you are in the vicinity of his new residence and you are given the opportunity to look for him, subtract 50 from the reference you were on at the time and turn to this. So we'll put that in our clues section. Okay, so the clue is the scarlet prankster. Minus 50 to find new home. I wonder how we'll know we're in the right vicinity. Okay, let's go back, and so we can choose another clue, any of the following. So we can choose 108, 280 or 312 to get our second clue and final clue. So why don't we go for 310, 312? Does that sound okay for you? Brilliant. 312 it is. .312 reads, the President is due to pay a visit to Titan City. Rumours are going around that an attempt will be made on his life when he arrives. It would be wise to find out how his attempt will be made. Both Marcus Buletta and Ratface Flanagan know how the attempt will be made. Okay. So I'll put down the President. President attack. Marcus Buletta and Ratface Flanagan. Don't sound very nice people, these, Ratface Flanagan. So there's our clues, guys. So, okay, so now that we have our skill, our stamina and our luck,
our superpower, which is super strength. And we have two clues to start off with. We've got 1 and 2. I think we can actually make a start with the game now, so join me in a few moments and we will get started. Okay guys, so we are now ready to start playing Appointment with F.E.A.R. I've transferred all of our stats onto this sheet, so it's a little bit clearer, and we will begin making the decisions that will shape the outcome of our mission. We go straight into part 1, or should I say number 1 of the actual book itself. Remember, the whole book is made up of decisions and scenarios. So let's make a start. And hopefully you'll find this really relaxing to listen to as well. With each of these, sometimes you get a nice illustration, which is, in this particular book, a really nice comic book kind of style approach, which is really great. Okay, so if you listen, and then we will make the decisions, and we'll take turns in choosing which path we're going to take. Sound good? Brilliant, let's go. As you walk 10 blocks to work that morning, you can't help but feel that something is not quite right. You stop by a telephone booth to consider what it could be. The sounds of the city are the usual 8 a.m. cacophony. Cars and buses bounce along past Clark Street, the drivers too sleepy to even avoid the pits and bumps in the road. A newspaper vendor bawls out an incomprehensible headline, something about a robbery, and the crowds of men and women milling past him on their ways to work. Overhead in the sky, the rhythmic beating of a traffic copter's blades fade into the distance. An argument is taking place between an elderly businessman and an overlarge woman with an untrained dog whose sidewalk deposits have offended the businessman. There is nothing unusual, or is there? The difference is only barely perceptible, but there is a distinct air of tension in the streets. There are nervous twitches in the eyes of the passers-by, and cars are accelerating and braking in a jittery manner. Just little things like that. To your heightened senses, the atmosphere is pregnant. Today is not going to be an ordinary day. Your thoughts are broken by the high-pitched wailing of a police siren. A yellow and black Cougar GS screeches around the corner and leaps ahead through the Clark Street traffic before swinging left on Abaddon Park. Behind it, the traffic settles down to its regular flow. Your attention drifts back to the argument. A small crowd is built up around the man and the woman. Raised voices are making one side or the other, and the situation is beginning to look nasty. What will you do next? Will you go over and see if you can break up the argument? Run after the police car in Audubon Park? Buy a newspaper and find out about the robbery, or ignore all these incidents and go to work? What would you like to do? You'd like to check out the police car? Yep, certainly, I could understand that. Let's go to 289 and find out what is happening. It might be something much more important than an argument in the street, eh? As you enter the park, you pick up sounds of a commotion and follow it to a ground grouped around a body. Police are trying to move the crowd on. Will you push to see what is happening or change into the Silcer Crusader? You'd like to change into the Silcer Crusader? Any excuse, eh? 104. Wonder what this outfit actually looks like. You step as the Silcer Crusader toward the scene. A police officer spots you and helps you through the crowd. On the ground in the centre of the crowd is a body of a man of some means by the look of his expensive clothing. Lying next to him is a gold-trimmed briefcase. While the police busy themselves with moving the crowd on, you could either examine the body, the briefcase, or the surrounding bushes. What would you like to do? you'd like to have a look at the briefcase? Okay, let's do that. Let's have a look at the briefcase. Papers in his briefcase identify the man as Wayne Bruce, president of the Euro-American Security Incorporated. There are also documents from his lawyer which relate to divorce proceedings. Other than these, there appears to be nothing else out of the ordinary in this case. Do you wish to visit his home to talk to his wife, head to the office, or do you simply leave this simple but brutal mugging in the hands of the police? You'd like to talk to his wife? Okay, well, let's go and have a chat to his wife and see if we can find out any more information. A slim red-haired woman opens the door and introduces herself as Wayne Bruce's wife. You break the news to her gently, and to your astonishment, she takes it unemotionally. "There was nothing left between Wayne and me," she says. "I despise the man, but I wouldn't wish him dead. But now I know he is, I couldn't give a damn. I certainly didn't kill him, if that's what you're thinking, and I've no idea who might have done. But maybe somebody at the office will know, but I don't. If you have psi powers, turn to 348. Otherwise, you may try his office, or leave the whole affair to the police." Well, we don't have psi powers, unfortunately. We chose super strength, but we can try his office. It would be a shame to kind of turn our back on this now, since we are involved, as to say. So why don't we go and try his office and see if we can find any information there. So we turn to 233. At the offices of the Euro-American Security, the staff are shocked to hear of their president's murder. Wayne Bruce's secretary, an attractive blonde with dark eyes, introduces you to the company's senior executives, but no one can shed any light on why anyone would want to murder their boss. You decide that the incident must have been the mugging it seemed, and that you will leave it to the police. Turn to 73. You change back into your street clothes. Turn to 181. The familiar beeping on your wrist alerts you. Your crime watch is receiving a message. The electronic voice speaks 2 words: Parker Airport. Hurriedly, you change into the Silcer Crusader and speed towards the outskirts of the city. It never rains, but it pours. Halfway there, the crime watch bleeps again. This time the voice is warning you of another incident at F.E.A.R Laboratories. You have no indication of which is more urgent. What would you go to, F.E.A.R Laboratories or the Parker Airport? What would you like to do? You would like to go to the airport. Okay, we will go to the airport. 410. You arrive at Parker Airport and ask for the nearest security guard whether anything is happening. "The Silcer Crusader," he gasps. "Thank goodness you're here. Follow me, I'll take you to the control tower." You follow him up to the control tower, where you find the place buzzing with activity. The air traffic controller greets you nervously. "Have you heard?" "No, the police are on their way. Some guy calling himself the Tormentor has hijacked a DC-10 full of passengers to London. He's mad and demands nothing. He says he'll crash the plane, blaming it all on Susan." "We don't know what to do. A complete nutter. Is there anything you can do?" "Is there anything you can do?" If Susan means anything to you, turn to 141. If not, you can use your powers. If you have super strength, turn to 84. So we will turn to 84 and see if we can do anything, because the name Susan doesn't mean anything to me. You rush out of the control tower and zoom up to the sky towards the low-flying aircraft circling the airport. You reach it easily and enter through the emergency door release. The rush of air alerts the passengers and they gasp as they see the Silcer Crusader enter. You close the door and motion for everyone to remain calm. Luckily, the cockpit door is closed and the tormentor has not noticed your entry. The way is clear for you to surprise the villain. You swing open the cockpit door. Inside, two frightened pilots are tied against one wall, and at the controls is a shaggy-haired madman whose wide grin turns to a look of astonishment as you appear. You must spring on him quickly. And we have our first fight, guys, with the Tormentor as supervillain. And the Tormentor's skill is 8 and stamina is 9. Okay, so let's start the fight. So we roll 2 dice. 8, and then we add the Tormentor's skill, which is 8. So that gives him an attack score of 16. So we then do the same for ours. Not as good. So we've got... But because our skill is 13, because we do have the superpower, super strength, that has given us an advantage over that because of the poor dice score. Our high skill has given us the advantage, so we knock off 2 of his stamina, taking him to a 7, and then we go to round 2. So the Tormentor on a skill of 8 gives him a 15 score. And with our skill being a 13, that gives us 21. So 21 is higher than 15, so that takes him down to 5. Now remember, we can't take him down to 0 or we lose hero points, because we've got that obligation to arrest criminals. So we'll do one more round and see how we get on. So this is for the Tormentor. 16. And for us, so we've got 13. It's 21. So our score is higher than the Tormentor's. So we knock him down to a 3. So we can do one more round. $17. So we have plus 13. 18. So we take him down to 1, and that means you can't take him down to 0, so he's now been defeated. So we have defeated the Tormentor. If you defeat him within 10 combat rounds, turn to... Okay, so we've beat him in 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds. So we've turned to 3, 4, 6. While the struggle is fought, the aircraft falls into a steep dive. Your last blow fells your foe. As he slumps to the floor, you grab the controls of the plummeting aircraft and shout for the stewardess. She arrives and is able to untie the pilots. In the nick of time, they take over from you and are able to guide the plane down to a safe landing. Wow. So we'll turn to 35. You hand the tormentor over to the authorities and he is bundled off to a waiting police car. You stoop to pick up a piece of paper which seems to have fallen from his pocket. Opening it up, you find it appears to be a note scribbled down, something from a telephone conversation. The note is ripped in half. Underlined at the top of the paper is F.E.A.R. Under this message reads meeting on the 27th, this Monday. Wow, so that is a clue. So let's write that information down. So the meeting on 27th, and it's on a Monday, and we can add 2 hero points. So we get 2 hero points, our first 2, which is fantastic. So our clues so far are -50, the Scarlet Prankster, and we know that presidential attack. 2 guys involved or may know information on Marcus Buletta and Ratface Flanagan. And we now know the F.E.A.R meeting is taking place on the 27th, and it is a Monday. Good news for us. So let's move to 10, which is our next instruction, and find out what is going on. You leave the airport and head for home. What a day. You slump into a chair in front of the TV and relax with a long cold drink. You may add 6 stamina points for the rest. I don't think we can go over our actual score because we haven't lost any stamina points yet. So we're already on full stamina, if that makes sense. One thing disturbs you. Your boss, Jonah White, will be livid when you turn up for work tomorrow. You will have to invent some pretty convincing excuses. The next morning you set off to work early and you decide to travel by subway to make sure you get to work on time. But since when has a superhero's life ever been easy? Help, shouts a voice further up the crowded carriage. Pickpocket. Oh no, just what you needed. You force your way through the crowd into the busy train. As you reach the pickpocket's victim, that familiar beep 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 sounds from your crime watch. It's an electronic voice reads, Rad Square, hurry. You sigh, but what will you do? The train is pulling into a station and you'll have to change trains immediately if you want to reach Rad Square quickly. Do you want to do this, or do you want to apprehend the pickpocket? What would you like to do? You'd like to apprehend the pickpocket. Okay, I can do that. 185. So since you're already dealing with this, you'd like to kind of not leave anybody high and dry. So you rush up to a puny-looking bespectacled man who is shaking with fright. There, he cries, pointing to a man running through the next carriage. He's stolen my wallet. You race after him. No one else moves. They don't want to get involved. If only you could change into the Silcer Crusader. Roll 2 dice and compare the total with your skill score. So let's roll 2 dice. Our skill score is 13. And it's less than 13. So we'll turn to 166 and see what happens there. You gain ground and catch up with the pickpocket. As you grab him, he spins around to face you and draws out a knife. You'll have to fight him with your bare hands, as you cannot risk revealing yourself as the Silcer Crusader. So we've got our second fight with a pickpocket. And his skill is 7 and his stamina is 6. Okay, so let's do the first round. So we've got 13 for the pickpocket for his first round. And for us, we've got a skill of 13, adding the numbers from the 2 dice. So we've got 18 as our first attack, which is more than 13, so we take off 2 of his stamina. And round 2. So he's done better in that round, he's done 15. And ourselves, considerably higher, 25. So we're higher than him, so we're going to take off another 2, so we've beat him already. So we've knocked him down to 2, we can't take him to 0, otherwise we'd lose hero points. So we turn to 2, 9, 6. You go through the man's pockets to retrieve the wallet. He is carrying some peculiar things, no doubt the pickings of his trade. Along with the wallet you find a cigarette packet which contains a crumpled piece of paper, a cassette tape and a map. Before handing the pickpocket over to the security guard on the train, you manage to take one of these things from him. What would you take? Would you like to take the cigarette packet, the cassette tape, or the map? You'd like to listen to the cassette tape? Okay, we can do that. 281 is where we go to. You sit down next to a kid listening to a Walkman and borrow it to listen to the tape. It seems to be the recording of a telephone conversation between a man and a woman. The conversation ends, "Don't worry, the treasures are all being collected and will be replaced by our agent Mustafa Kareem. We will have them all soon. Remember, we meet the day after tomorrow on board the yacht. Okay, bye." Interesting stuff. This Mustafa Kareem sounds like a dubious character. If you come across him, you may question him about his activities by doubling the reference number you were on at the time and turning to this new reference. So we'll write that down in our clues. Mustafa Kareem. And double the reference number if we encounter this person, and then we can find out a bit more. So it's something to do with the yacht. Okay, so we add 1 luck point for discovering this message. Okay, so let's turn to 86. The train stops at Grim Street Station and you get off to work. You try to settle into your desk discreetly, but no such luck. Lafayette, get in here at once. No sooner have you stepped into the office door than Jonah White's booming voice summoned you. You creep into his office, mumbling scantily excuses for being late yet again. "Enough," he yells. "What do you think we're running here? A charity? Do you suppose I should be grateful that you even grace us with your presence? It's very noble of you indeed to even bother coming in at all. Well, if I tell you what, I'm feeling kind today, and you can take the rest of the day off without pay. And if you're not in first thing tomorrow morning, you can start looking for another job." You slink out of his office with your tail between your legs, How can you tell him what you've been doing? And now you've been suspended for a day. Where will you go? Will you spend the day at Disneyland, the amusement park? Or would you go downtown to perhaps do some shopping? What would you like to do? You like to do some shopping? Well, how domesticated are you? Strolling downtown, your first stop at the bank to get some cash. The next stop is a pizza parlour for a bite to eat. You take a stool facing out across Banner Street and watch the shoppers passing as you eat your pizza. On the far side of the road is a man you recognise. It is Drew Swain, a retired millionaire who made his fortune manufacturing the collection tins used by charities. He steps into a baker's shop, and when he comes out, something strange happens. He takes a step forward and suddenly freezes, held like a statue in an off-balance pose. A blue van draws up and obscures your view, and when the van drives off, Swain is gone. You saw it with your own eyes, but it happened so quickly that you are now a long way behind the kidnappers. Will you nip into the toilets in the back of the shop and change costume? If so, will you follow the van? Will you ask questions at the bakery? Or are you determined to have an afternoon off and do nothing? Decisions. What would you like to do? You like to ask questions at the bakery? Okay, let's do that if that's what you'd like to do. You rush into the bakery and ask questions about the last customer, but it seems there was nothing unusual about him. He bought a loaf of wholemeal bread and 2 custard tarts. The staff don't know anything more about him. If you have psi powers, you can attempt to read their minds. If you have super strength, you may chase after the van. Otherwise, you may have to go outside the scene of the crime and see if there's any other clues to be picked up. What would you like to do? You like to chase after the van? Okay, 414. You leap into the air and shoot after the van. Half a kilometre ahead, when you see it make a turn, you drop down in front of it, forcing it to stop. The driver stares. "Say," he greets you, "ain't you that Crusader cat?" "Well, I'm sure glad to meet you. Yes, sirree." You tell him that you're going to take a look in the back of his van and step around to the back. He follows you, still jabbering. "But why, Crusader baby? Ain't nothing in there but a couple of porkies and a couple of chicken." You open the door and you're greeted with a blast that knocks you 3 meters backwards to land in a lifeless heap on the road. "Oh yeah, nearly forgot," chuckles the man. "And a laser cannon. And that old man-trapper shooter, all those things worked out well. Yes, indeed. You have fallen right into a cleverly executed trap. The van was merely a decoy, and a deadly one at that. Your mistake has cost you your life." Wait a minute, guys, this can't be right. This can't happen. Let's do something like a real superhero does and rewind time and change history. Okay, so we're now back at the bakery. Let's not chase after the van, which didn't seem like a crazy idea. But never mind, it did cost us our lives. So let's look at the other options. We can go outside and at the scene of the crime and see if there's any other clues to be picked up. We can't read the minds of the bakery workers, so let's do that. Let's go to see if there's any clues around why this man was abducted. 331. Outside, you find a single clue to the kidnapping, a metal slug with the letter M engraved on it. If this means anything to you, you'll know you now have to investigate it. Otherwise, you have come to a dead end. You may have to give your information to the police and let them take over. We've got a Mustafa Kareem. Double the reference number. It can't be that, because we can't double the reference number, because that's going to take us beyond the amount of references there is. So it's not Mustafa. So we don't have anything to go on there, so we're going to have to carry on without it and go to 428. You resume your shopping tour downtown. Will you make for Virgin Records to go out and have a look at what new albums have come out recently? Or will you have a look in the window of F.E.A.R, the famous jewellers? What would you like to do? You'd like to look in the jewellers. Okay, well, let's turn to 300 and see what's going on there. Gone past it there. As you step up to F.E.A.R's window, you notice a familiar figure taking an unhealthy interest in the diamond rings. It is Porcelain Percy, so called because his punishment for once betraying a former boss was to have all his teeth filed down to the gums, and they all had to be built up with porcelain caps. He stands aside nervously as you step up to the window. You play with him a little. Did he not just have something to do with the smash and grab at DeLager's jewellers last week? Wasn't he seen talking to Timmy the Tongue? Maybe it would be better for all if you were just to hand him over to Big Ben and the Slicer. It would save the police a lot of effort. Porcelain Percy starts to sweat profusely and agrees to give you some information if you just forget you have seen him. Apparently, he knows that the poisoner has plans to threaten the lives of all the inhabitants of Titan City. He also tells you more about what the poisoner's plans are. If you find yourself searching for the poisoner, deduct 30 from the reference number you were on when you were given the opportunity and turn to this new reference. Alright, so that is a minus 30 for the poisoner. Bear that one in mind. You may add one luck point for this information and then allow this skinny little man to go home. The rest of the evening is uneventful and you get a good night's rest. You may add 6 stamina points. Okay, we haven't really lost any stamina points at this point in time, so we are still at full capacity. So we will turn to 327. The next morning you leave for work early. You're sorely tempted to leave your crime watch behind. You dare not miss another day's work. But your fears are unwarranted. To your utter amazement, your crime watch is silent. You arrive at work early. Jonah White cannot believe his eyes when he enters the office to find you hard at work at your desk. At lunchtime you catch up on today's news on the teletext TV. This is written in 1985, by the way. 2 stories catch your attention. One is of a strange attack in Abaddon Park. A woman has been seriously mauled by what she calls a monster, but a specialist at the hospital thinks the claw marks are of an animal of some kind. The second story is of a man who had his chest crushed in the grounds of the National History Museum. There are no clues to who or what was responsible, but as if whatever caused the man's death simply walked away. Both incidents are being investigated by the police. You decide to do a little investigation of your own. You change into the Silcer Crusader and set off to make some inquiries. Would you rather go to the National History Museum, the Titan Zoo, or the Warnham and Whaley's Travelling Circus? You want to go to Titan Zoo? Okay, well, let's do that. 408. As you arrive at the zoo gates, you question the attendant, asking whether there have been any reports of animals escaping from their cages over the last couple of days. The attendant is obviously excited to see you. "Gosh, hi, Crusader," he stammers. Yeah, I did hear something about an escape, but I don't know much more about it. You'll have to ask the director. I'll take you to him if you like." You tell him to lead the way, but as you turn to follow, a beep, beep, beep comes on your wrist. You hold the crime watch up to your ear. The Museum of Egyptian Heritage, it speaks. Do you want to follow its advice and head straight away to the museum, or will you ignore this and instead follow the attendant? Now we actually have a lead. Remember the Walkman that we found in the train and the metro or the subway? There was some conversation on that tape that we heard about this Mustafa Kareem. So I think we might have a link with one of our clues there. So why don't we go and find out what's happening at the museum? You okay with that? Okay, let's do it. The Museum of Egyptian Heritage is in the Midtown area. Everything seems perfectly normal when you enter and make for the head curator's office. Dr. Kabler is an elderly professor type with white hair and a thick white moustache that hangs over his mouth. He is surprised to see you and assures you that as far as he knows, everything is in order. He offers to double check all his treasures to make sure nothing has disappeared. Do you want to get him to do this, or would you rather ask him to show you around? We'll ask him to show us around, shall we? You want to ask him to do this? Okay. He studies the closed-circuit security screens which are focused on the main treasures of his collection. Everything seems to be in order. But he does study one screen rather closely. It is the figurehead of the god Amun-Ra, festooned in with gold and jewellery. He is not sure whether there is supposed to be a pair of golden earrings on the idol. Do you want to go and check, or would you instead check the main exhibit, the sarcophagus of Princess Anakilis? Turn to 240. What would you like to do? You'd like to check out the sarcophagus. Let's do that. 240. The princess's sarcophagus in all its splendour is watched by 3 security guards. Priceless golden treasures adorn the exhibit, but there is no doubt that any of these would make rich pickings for a thief. You talk to the guards and compare the exhibit with its description in the catalogue. All seems to be in order. It seems you are wasting your time here, and you decide to leave. Oh, sorry guys, I thought this clue might have come into play there. We could try and double the reference number. Be 480. Just to see if that makes any... Nothing. There's nothing there. So the clue isn't leading us anywhere. It's probably the wrong clue, to be honest. And I do apologise if I've led you astray there. I jumped in with that decision. 376. Where to now? You may want to visit the Titan Central Library to do some research in their criminology section. Or would you like to go and visit Jerry the Grass? Interesting choices there, guys. What would you like to do? So you would like to go to the library to do some research. 242, yeah, I do think you would tell us if there was something we needed to know. Oh, there we go, there's 272. A large crowd has gathered around Titan City Library. The police are struggling to keep them away from the building to allow both the army and the fire brigade to get closer. What is happening? Your question is answered when a third floor window smashes. The smash is followed by screams as two bodies come hurtling out of the broken window, followed by a huge bookshelf. Books and glass rain down on the terrified crowds. Inside you hear a roar which chills you to the bone. The police chief is glad to see you. We need help, Crusader, he pleads. Some sort of creature is inside there. They called it the Devastator. It looks like something not of this earth. A huge brute, and I'd say it's made from rock. You push to the building and find the creature on the third floor, and your jaw drops. Indeed, it does seem to be made from rock rather than living flesh, and it stands some 4 meters high. Something has enraged it, and it is destroying everything in sight, pushing over huge shelves of books and smashing tables and chairs. If you have super strength, turn to 378. Yes, well, we do have super strength. 378 it is. I think another combat is on the cards here. You fly up in front of the Devastator and land a heavy blow in its chest. The creature groans and turns to face you. Oh, it's got quite a score, this one. The Devastator. Skill is 14 and stamina is 12. Okay, guys. It's been a while since we had a fight. And we've got a real monster on our hands this time, haven't we? So I'll add that to the skill. That's 23 for his first round, which is quite a high score. So we need to beat this. So we've got 13 plus what's on this dice. So we have 21. So we are less than 23. So we need to take off 2 points of our stamina. So he draws first blood. We're down to 12 now on our stamina. And round 2. So 14 plus the dice. That's 22. Let's see if we can beat 22. So we've got 13 plus. That makes our score 17. So he's done it again, guys. He's took 2 points off us. This guy is a force to be reckoned with. Round 3. He's getting great scores today. He's got 24. And we have 13 plus 20. We're no match for this guy. We're down to 8. Guys, what's happening? Okay, that's a little bit more like it. So the Devastator has 18 for this particular round, and we have. So we've got 20 again. So we have actually beat this round. So we take him down to a 10. This is really neck to neck. It's quite riveting stuff. Another round for the Devastator. 2021. And for us, 24. So we beat that round, so we take that off him. So we're now actually even on the stamina. Another round for the Devastator. That's 20. And for us, and that's 21. We've just beat him by 1 point. And another one for the Devastator. And he's got 20 again. Another 20. And we've got 13. Plus... Yes! Okay. Now we're getting somewhere, hopefully. Okay, Devastator's another attack from the Devastator. So he's now got 18. 18. And for our defense, yeah, pretty good. So we've got 21 again, so we take off 2. Okay, so we're now at that golden point now where the Devastator can't come back. We're going to hand him over to the police because we're a goodie. We're not going to finish him off. So we've now defeated the Devastator, but he has impacted some damage on us. So let's go to 119 and find out what's going to happen here. You are greeted by heroic applause from the crowd as you step from the library. The struggle has been a tough one, but you've defeated the strange creature and have been awarded 5 hero points for the victory. Then turn to 319. So, sorry, 5 hero points. 5. Where's our hero points? So we've now got 7. 7 hero points, which is pretty good. Well done, guys. Let's turn to 319. I was hoping for some kind of clue of this meeting. We're not coming across that many clues, are we? No clues at all. We've just fought this creature and that was it. You better avoid any more super exploits for a while. Do you want to pay a visit to your elderly aunt's house, or would you go downtown to the police headquarters to check that you are not required for other duties? So why don't we go down to the police headquarters and see if anything's going on there? 245. Lieutenant Wojak shakes your hand enthusiastically as you enter police headquarters. Crusader, hi, good to see you. Come in my office. He tells you that, apart from the usual muggings, break-ins and auto thefts, he's just had some disturbing news. There was one well-organised jailbreak at Woodworm Scrubs, a high-security prison. Marcus Buletta, who was serving a 14-year sentence, climbed over a wall with a rope ladder and escaped into a waiting van disguised as an ambulance. Also, Central Hospital has reported a strange admission. Someone named Winston Woods, whose hands and head were rough and hairy like those of a giant ape. Do you wish to investigate this strange case at the hospital? Would you like to go shopping? Or would you tell the police to keep you informed and go and visit your aunt? What would you like to do? You'd like to go shopping? Oh, you're quite the shopaholic, aren't you? Sometimes you get some good clues and things by just being on the streets and seeing what's going on. Because that big fight was a little bit disappointing. We didn't get any information. Unless we missed some clue there. Okay, so you need to do some shopping and head for Shooter Market, a couple of kilometres out of town. It is a huge site with hundreds of different shops. Do you want to go into the drugstore, the supermarket, or the computer shop? What would you like to do? The computer shop? Not the drugstore? Not the supermarket? Okay, no, I don't mind at all. Let's do the computer shop. The sales assistants are all demonstrating various machines to other customers, and as you wander around looking at the stacks of software, you take a copy of a Whackman variant and study the description on the box. I don't rate that one myself, says a voice behind you. You turn around, it's Jerry the Grass. You mustn't be careful to give yourself away, for he doesn't know you as Jean Lafayette. You chat away to him, but he tells you of his hobbies: computers, CB radio, and amateur detective work. As he boasts of his interests, he gives you some information. Apparently he has heard of a plot to assassinate the president, who is due to arrive in Titan City tomorrow on a visit. There will be a decoy gunman in the crowd, but the real killer will be on the roof of the Regent Hotel. He tried to tell the police, but they dismissed him as a crank. With this information, you may apprehend the gunman by adding 100 to the reference you are on when you arrive at 7th Avenue, and turning to that reference. You thank him for advice on the game and leave. Okay, so the president. Now we already know a couple of things about the presidential attack. So it's add 100. So he doesn't know we are the Silcer Crusader, and we apparently in our normal clothes don't know that he is Jerry the Grass. 226. Where will you head now? If you wish to make a visit to your aunt, turn to 134. If you'd rather go downtown and see if you can get tickets for a special concert that Georgie Boy and the Vulture Club are giving, go to 122. What would you rather do, guys? Would you rather go and see your auntie or see a concert? Big decisions to make, guys. You'd like to go and visit your aunt? That's really sweet. Why don't we do that? 134. 134. Your aunt lives in Cockney Green, a pleasant suburban district to the east of Titan Centre. The bus drops you off at Cockney Cemetery, leaving you with a 5-minute walk to her house. Will you take a leisurely stroll around the outside of the cemetery, or will you take a shortcut through it? What would you rather do? You'd rather go around the cemetery? Are you sure you don't want to go inside? Something might happen. You definitely want to go outside. Okay, I don't mind that one bit. You can do whatever you like. 219, 219. 219. Here we go. The cool air is refreshing and allows you to gather your thoughts. You must anticipate the F.E.A.R meeting if you are to prevent their master plan from succeeding. But if only you knew where it was to be held, and thump, you feel a heavy blow across your bed and you drop to your knees. You hear a rough accent saying, "Just get the money, and just get going quick." A hand searches through your pockets for cash. They're groggy. You know what is happening. You are being mugged. You could, if you wished, fight back, but that would mean you have to reveal your secret identity. Or you could let them think they have knocked you out. You have very little money on you anyway. Will you fight back, or let them rob you? Choice is yours. So let's weigh this up. You could blow your cover, but sometimes the most mundane acts have some kind of link to some of the big heavy stuff, don't you think? So remember the pickpocket? We found that recording and things on his persons. You want to let them rob you? Yeah, okay, so maybe showing your identity might be a big mistake in public. You fake unconsciousness and seething inwardly, you let them take the money they were after. A car pulls up and they leap inside, cursing about how little they have taken. You memorise the number, let the police handle this one. Lose 2 stamina points for the blow on the head. Down to 6. We need a good night's sleep to build that back up, guys. And let's go to 76. And okay, we've reached Aunt Florence's house, and she is very overjoyed to see us. She wonders why you're looking so untidy, and she fusses about, making you tea and offering you cream cakes. You are exhausted by the day's activities, but are happy to let her fuss. You decide to spend the night there, rather than face the long journey home. The next morning, thank goodness, is a Saturday, so no work. If indeed you still have a job left to go to at all. You then leave your aunt's, and you must now decide where you will go. There's an exhibition at Home Appliances of the Future at the World's Court Exhibition Centre. You may go there by turning to 425, or you may go and watch the presidential cavalcade is coming, or the Titan Tigers are fighting a friendly football game against the Metro Mohawks. You could go and watch that. What would you like to do? So you'd like to go and see the presidential cavalcade on 7th Avenue. Well, let's turn to 21 because we've got some information on that one, haven't we? The citizens of Titan City have turned out in their thousands to meet the president. They line up the sides of 7th Avenue 6 deep, and the presidential car is not due to arrive for half an hour. Spirits are high, there is much flag waving and bands are playing in the streets as a prelude to the arrival. Will you spend the next half an hour in a coffee bar waiting for the main procession to arrive, or will you find a place in the crowd that offers a decent view? Now we already know that there's going to be a decoy in the crowd, and the real perpetrator is going to be on top of a building. President at 100, so we'll turn to 121, see if that works. 121. Oh yes, it works. It works, yes. Following the advice you were given, you change into the Silcer Crusader and climb the fire escape on the roof of the Regent Hotel. You arrive just as the president's car is about to pass in the street below. Sure enough, in the far corner, a man is squatting. He's leaning over the edge of the roof and adjusting the telescopic sight of a high-powered rifle. If you have super strength, turn to 236. So let's turn to 236, because that's what we have, is super strength. Super strength. 236. Quickly as a flash, you fly over to the roof, come up in front of the man and hit him with a blow that knocks the gun out of his hand. He falls back on the roof and you must resolve your battle with him. So we've got another fight in our hands. Our fourth fight. And this is with the president's assassin. Skill is 9 and stamina is 8. Now, I thought we might have gotten I thought we might have had a rest at the auntie's house, but it hasn't asked us to rejuvenate and put our stamina back up, so we're actually running below the pickpocket dangerously. 6 is quite low, so we're going to have to rely on some good dice throws, guys. So he's the first strike by the assassin, so we're going to add his 9 skill to the dice throw. So that gives him 15. Now we are already on 13, so it's going to be really tough if we didn't get this. And we have just got it, so we knock him down to a 6. Second round. So he's now got 13 for this round. So we've beat him because we were already on 13 without the dice throw, and we knock him down to a 4. $16. And for us, 18. So we've knocked him down to a 2, and now we have to arrest him now. So we have defeated him, and we turn to 258. So hopefully we've saved the president from assassination. You pick the assassin up by the collar and demand to know who he's working for. He realises that the game is up and admits that he works for F.E.A.R. You threaten him with more punishment unless he tells you the whereabouts of the meeting you know is about to take place, but he swears he knows nothing more than it is due to take place tomorrow. Perhaps he's telling the truth. You hand him to the police and head for home. You have saved the president's life, award yourself 6 hero points, but no information. So we already know that it's taking place on the 27th on Monday, the 27th. But we still don't know anything else about it. 13 hero points, but I'd be much happier finding out information about this F.E.A.R. meeting. So we don't know a great deal about it yet. You set off home to take some well-deserved rest. The prospect of the F.E.A.R meeting is weighing heavily on your mind, but for the moment you are well advised to relax for the evening. You may gain 6 stamina points for taking it easy. Good, because we need those. So we're now on 12. The next morning you are woken not by the alarm clock but by a crime watch. Beep, beep, beep. This time the message is longer than normal and it repeats itself. Reliable information. F.E.A.R meeting today. Whereabouts unknown. You spring out of bed. Today, do you have any clues where the meeting is? Where will you go? No, we don't. We don't have any clues where it is. We just know it's taking place on the 27th. So, a little bit stuck with this one. And we'll turn to 70. If you were staying in town, you will already be making your way towards the F.E.A.R secret meeting place, which lies along one of the avenues. Which avenue are you heading for? Multiply the number by 10 and turn to that reference. We got a meeting on the 27th. Is that 27th Avenue or was it the 27th of the month? Maybe we should try and do this. 270 doesn't actually tally up at all. So the result does not make any sense, unfortunately. So we are having to proceed on and admit that 368, we don't really know what's happening at this time. We don't know anything that's happening. We just haven't accumulated any clues. It's hopeless. You do not know where the F.E.A.R is holding its meeting and you have no chance of finding it in such a short time. You have no chance of finding it. You find a convenient spot, change into your street clothes and hail a cab. The driver has his radio on. He chats away, the radio splutters and fizzles. The music dies and an unscheduled announcement interrupts the programme. Turn to 292. A steely voice with a sinister tone speaks slowly and clearly. Citizens of the world, it announces, do not attempt to retune your receivers. This message is being broadcast on all frequencies, simultaneously in all languages, in all areas of the globe. My name is Vladimir Utoshki, and I am known as the Titanium Cyborg. My organization is known to you as the Federation of Euro-American Rebels, and my message is this. We have taken control of the Star Wars satellite that orbits the Earth. We demand the unconditional surrender of all your governments and military establishments and the submission of all citizens to our leadership. Any resistance will be dealt with harshly. Our satellite will obliterate one by one the major cities of the Earth. As proof of our power, Titan City will be exterminated in exactly 30 seconds. Your heart sinks. You have failed to stop the fateful meeting of F.E.A.R, and the whole world must now pay the penalty.